Crap. Looks like Arsenal, Man City, and Villa are getting ahead of us. Well, you know what, guys? Don't worry. If we stick to our game plan, if we continue to play slowly and methodically, I'm sure eventually we'll catch... Why are there 5 more people ahead of us? What's up, guys, and welcome to the Blues and Stripes and Maresca-Ball. That's basically this whole game. Dominated possession. Looks second best for most of it. We turned it on in the second half, finally started taking some shots, but for the most part, it was Bournemouth creating the best chances. They should have won this match based on the chances created. And they had one very clear-cut opportunity that Evan Nilsson should have buried and didn't. And then outside of that, they looked more dangerous every single time they got on the ball, whereas us, we get on the ball and we don't look dangerous for about 15 minutes. And that's Maresca-Ball. It's why I don't like his system. It's why we don't succeed against a lot of these mid to lower level sides. We can't figure out how to break down these low blocks because we want to play safe. We want to keep possession. Don't worry, guys. Just stick to it. Just keep passing around. Keep passing it around. Eventually, we might finally find a way through them, but just keep passing it around. In matches like these, the only way we're going to get a win playing like this is if the other team makes a mistake. And Bournemouth didn't today. Even with losing a defender, they still managed to keep it solid defensively, and we couldn't find a way through because of it. But outside of that, let's also just look at Maresca, once again, his lineup and his substitutions. The lineup was fine, except he's gone with Delap up top, which means we don't have anything up top, really. And I'll give Delap a little bit of credit when I talk about his individual performance, but Joao Pedro is a more complete striker. You got Palmer in finally today, which means you need somebody up there that he can combine with. Delap is not a combining type of striker. He's big, he's fast, he's going to try to run at the defense, he's going to try to get him behind him. That's not what we had today. So all he really had was just trying to fight the defense, and we saw how that turned out. And what's even dumber is Delap gets hurt because of a wrestling match that he gets into, and he brings on Guiu. And all I can think is this is because he plans to bring on Joao Pedro for Palmer at 60 minutes, because he doesn't want to play Palmer for the full 90, but he can't find it in his brain in these matches to think outside the box. So he's already planned Joao Pedro for Palmer at 60. He can't think to himself, Delap's injured, maybe we bring Joao Pedro on now, and then at 60, then we'll bring on Guiu for Palmer, and then we can move Joao Pedro back, which still doesn't make sense because Joao Pedro is still not a 10. I don't know how many times I have to talk about this, probably for the next 10 matches, as Maresca continues to utilize him there for some stupid-ass reason. But even with that stupid idea in mind, even with the ridiculous idea that you're going to play Joao Pedro at 10 today because you will need to give Palmer a break, and you can't find anybody else, we definitely don't have anybody that can play 10, definitely don't have a young 18-year-old kid that can play 10, definitely don't have a guy from Brighton on loan that can play 10. No. We have to play our most complete number 9. We have to play him out of position at the 10. That's the only option we have, guys. Don't question it. Don't look at the other players that we have on the team. No. This is the only option we have. But even with that in mind, you can still bring Joao Pedro on earlier and then drop him in later whenever you bring Guiu on because you need to give Palmer a break. But instead he brings on Guiu, and now we have even less up top. I know people will disagree with that because they think Guiu is better than Delap. I don't think he is. He's got more energy than Delap. He's got more press than Delap. But Bournemouth are not going to keep a lot of possession in the back, so that press doesn't help us, really. On the ball, he is a little bit more technically gifted than Delap is, but he's also smaller, which means the defender just comes in, basically can just carry him off the ball, because he doesn't have enough strength to stand up to the pressure from a Premier League defender. So that sub killed our attack, which, to be fair, was not really existent before that, because a lot of what we were doing in the first half is that stupid possession stuff, where we're just passing it around the 18 because there's no holes to get into because they packed in 10 men in the box, and so we just kind of knock it around, and one of two things happens. Either we cross it, and it's not a good cross, we don't really have anybody in the box that can attack it, and so it just ends up being a cross to nobody, or we go backwards, and then they force us further back because they press, and then we have to go back to Sanchez, who then goes long, and then we give it away. That's the only two options that we had today. I don't even think we won a corner, which is embarrassing. Like, how can you not win a corner with all this possession that you have? But that was the whole game plan, though. It's that stupid Maresca-Ball that we're used to seeing against teams like Bournemouth. Just knock it around until eventually we give it away. I don't understand why we can't change that. Second half, we started to see a little bit more emphasis on, hey, let's maybe take some shots. Hey, let's maybe test Petrovic a little bit because we know he's not world class. He's a decent keeper. But if we just start peppering him a bit, there's a chance one of these shots goes in. Or hell, maybe we just have a good shot. Maybe if we take 3 or 4, one of those has a better chance of being a wonder goal than if we just take that one and hope that one shot that you get is just a wonderful strike. Like, the way I look at it, it's like if you're playing the lottery. If you play the one time, your chances of winning are so low. But if you play like 10 times, Still low, but you got a better chance. I feel like we don't have that mindset. We have the mindset of, no, that one chance that we get, that one chance that we can create, and then we never create it. And so it just turns into one wild shot off balance because we feel like we have no other option. And like I've said before, this is Maresca-Ball at its worst. But it's so boring. And it's so frustrating too because we just lost in midweek. We just lost to Leeds. This was a must-win match now. And we approached it like we do every other match. Just knock it around. If we get there, we get there. It's 91, 92 minutes on the clock. And what are we doing? Knocking it around the back. Bournemouth win it. They go straight down the pitch, try to create a chance. We win it. Let's knock it. All right. Are we good? All right, now we can go down the field. And you've wasted 30 seconds that we don't really have right now. I don't understand. I know you don't want to give away the ball doing something stupid or something rushed, but it still does feel like you can play with some intensity, some aggressiveness, and we don't see that. Honestly, I think that's why Cucurella was scoring so many goals last season in our rough period, is because there was just this lack of intensity because the way Maresca wants us to play is so slow and indirect, and Cucurella is direct. He will go at you. He will charge down the ball. Meanwhile, everybody else is just sort of standing and watching like, oh, if it comes to me, it comes to me, but I'm not going to do anything outside of myself to try to make anything happen. Cucurella is trying to make everything happen. And we saw that a bit again today. But yeah, let's get into individuals. So Sanchez made some great saves to keep us in the match. Once again, proving he is not the trash goalkeeper that everybody seems to think he is because he was trash last season. Gusto right back. Like I said in the preview, I normally wouldn't want to see him in a match like this, but because we don't really have any options in midfield, James has to play in there, which means Gusto is the next viable choice. Personally, I don't think he's the next best choice. I think that's probably Achimpong, but we know Maresca doesn't rate him, so he's not going to play over Gusto. But we saw a lot of the issues with Gusto today. He's giving the ball away defensively. He's letting Semenyo run past him too easily. He's losing track of his runner. This is a lot of what Gusto does. It almost hurt us a couple times today. Thankfully, it didn't. But this is why I don't really rate him as a player, because this is kind of his average performance, to be honest. Fofana, he's looked good recently. I've praised him because he's played well. Today showed some of those gaps in his game that he still has that I've seen before that a lot of people don't seem to notice. We got two huge moments that nearly cost us. First one is the disallowed goal. If you watch that whole play, yes, you could say he's playing Evan Nielsen offside, so that's why he doesn't go with him. That's fine. But his reaction afterward, because the flag doesn't go up. And the thing is, you played him offside, but now you play to the whistle, because it was close, because James was almost playing him on. So you got to play to the whistle. He stood that entire play. As we see, I think it was James come back in and win the ball, and then it goes to Semenyo. Fofana hasn't moved an inch. And that entire little run, it was probably about 5 seconds. He just stood and watched it all happen. And the thing is, if he's turned on, if he's not standing, then he probably is able to get there and maybe put a bit of a challenge on Semenyo. But he hasn't moved an inch. And then the second one is where Gusto nearly gives up a penalty. Thankfully, times his slide tackle well. But it's just such a lazy lunge in from Fofana. He just sort of sticks a leg out. And it wasn't even a great challenge either. It was literally slow motion. I can get there. And then he just skips past him. And again, thankfully, Gusto times his slide tackle well. But to be perfectly honest, I think he was lucky. I don't really think that was a great challenge, very well timed. I think he got lucky on that one. That's two big moments. And some people might look at it and go, but that's 2 moments. Yeah, 2 moments as a defender leads to goals. Again, against Tottenham, he had 2 crazy moments where he completely misreads a header, and it sets up for Kudus's chance, which was the only chance Tottenham had, and then a chance where it fell at Bentancur's feet in the 6-yard box, and if he had a better touch, he might have buried it. You can't have mistakes in your game like that as a defender. And I feel like Fofana, he does have those. He hasn't shown it a lot recently, but those are the moments where I look at him and go, I still have concerns. I'm still not 100% convinced by him. The one thing that I will give him credit for that I do feel comfortable with him in there is I feel comfortable whenever he's on the ball. He did have one bad back pass where he won the ball ahead of Wilson and then for some reason plays it like 10 feet to the left of Sanchez. Don't know why. And then Sanchez clears it out of bounds because he has to. But typically when he's on the ball, when we're in possession, knocking it around like we tend to do, that's where I feel a lot more comfortable with Fofana back there because he is good on the ball. Chalobah, I thought worked hard. He's a good workhorse back there. He wins the ball. He's very aggressive. Sometimes can get pulled out of position a little too easily, but I thought he worked fine. Cucurella, as I said before, he's the one player that's busting it. Where everybody else, the ball comes in, you got Neto crossing it in, and people are kind of half going for it, or the ball drops, and there are 2 Chelsea players that kind of both don't want to go for it, so they wait for the other one, and then a Bournemouth player comes in and wins it. Cucurella is just going. He wants the ball. He wants to try to win it so we can go score, and I wish we had more players like that, to be honest, because I don't really see that much outside of him. You could argue James, but James doesn't really get up in the box as much. Cucurella is the one that's typically, he's all around and he's constantly, he just wants the ball. So another good solid performance from him. And to the midfield, Fernandez, I think it was kind of a half and half match for him. On the attacking side of things, I thought he did move the ball pretty well. He had some really good passes that kind of got our attacks started. But defensively is where he really got scary today. And I know that's not his game. I know that's not why he's out there. But I still do feel like there are moments whenever all he's got to do is just at least go with the guy. Just turn and go with them. And it's kind of this half-hearted, I'm going to step toward you. Oh, you're passing me. All right, well, I guess I'll go back. We need more than that in the midfield. We can't just let players go running past us and at our defense, because that's where things get dangerous. So yeah, I just want a little bit more from him there. Into the front four, Neto thought had a pretty poor first half. Second half stepped it up a little bit. Still wanted a bit more from him, though. Yeah, first half felt like he was just not really into the game at all. Like his head was somewhere else. Players would try to lead him into space, and he'd just stop as if he had no idea what they were trying to do. Palmer definitely looked rusty today. Had a couple of moments where you could see the flashes of brilliance were there, but he's definitely nowhere near the levels that he was before the injury. So hopefully, given a bit more game time, we will start to see the best of Palmer again. Garnacho probably was our most dangerous player today overall in both halves. And it was just this willingness to run at defenders whenever he got on the ball. It didn't always work, but he was willing to try again, and he did get a couple of good runs in. Now, granted, the finishing side of things is where I wanted a little bit more from him today, but he did put in some good crosses. He did set up some good chances that then, instead of taking the shot first time or then another pass after, yeah, honestly, I thought he played pretty well today. It was our most dangerous looking player for most of the match. And then Delap, like I said, I'll give him a little bit of credit. There were a couple times when he made some good runs. He did hold up the ball a little bit at times, which was nice, but his overall connected play is just not good enough. When you look at what Joao Pedro can do on the ball and how well he can interlink with Palmer, there's just nothing there from Delap, really, in comparison at least. But I will also say I do get kind of sick of him just sort of pushing the defenders and kicking the defenders. And it's one thing when it's somebody like Costa doing it, because Costa was scoring. He was having an effect on the game. Delap, it feels like, is just there to do all of that, and he's not scoring. So what's the justification for having him out there? But getting into the subs, first of all, Guiu came on. Thought he worked hard, but again, he just doesn't look like he's fit for the Premier League. I think he would be good for some of the matches whenever teams are going to pass it around the back. We're playing Man City or Tottenham or Arsenal. I think those matches he could be effective because he's very good at pressing. But in these matches, whenever it's pack it in for the other team, they're not going to try to keep possession in defense. They're just going to hoof it downfield. He's not as effective in those matches, because we need him to be good on the ball, and he's not at the same level. Joao Pedro came on in the 10 and once again looked uncomfortable in there. He's dropping into spaces I don't think he wants to get the ball in. I think he'd rather be getting the ball further up the pitch, and it's once again a strange decision from Maresca that I think cost us. And then finally, Estevao comes on. He did come on for Garnacho, which I thought was a little weird since, again, I thought Garnacho was looking a bit more dangerous than Neto was, but I think mainly he just wanted to keep Neto on because of his pace and his energy. Yeah, I didn't really see much from Estevao, unfortunately. I do kind of feel like that last game might have taken some confidence from him. So hopefully Maresca can build that confidence up again, because I want to see, and I think all of us want to see, the Estevao we saw against Arsenal and against Barcelona. That young kid that's fired up and always willing to run and take on his defender and very clever on the ball. We didn't see hardly any of that against Leeds, and then today when he came on, once again, not really much of it. But all in all, 2 points dropped. Once again, I think it's safe to say our title hopes are dropping very rapidly. But like I said, after the Leeds match, I mean, that game sort of killed any confidence I had going into this December period. 8 games that looked winnable outside of the trip to Newcastle, and we didn't win our first 2. Based on how we're playing right now and how Maresca is setting us up, I can safely look at these matches and say none of these are comfortable wins anymore. I can't even guarantee that we're going to win. And once again, my mind just goes back to our winter period last season, whenever we went on a run without a win and our title hopes fell off. If we haven't improved from last season, then what is Maresca doing? Because we've got better players now. We've got more depth at the club now, outside of maybe in defense. But I look at the players that we have currently, and I think we have a better team this season than we did last. And yet we still can't get the job done. So what has the manager done? How has the manager changed and improved from last season to make sure that this doesn't happen again? Well, clearly he hasn't. And that's where I do call into question whether or not he's going to be good enough for us. But anyway, with all that being said, those are my thoughts on the game today. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on the game? Let me know what you talk about and discuss, all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea previews, reviews, and talks. And until next time, hope you guys have a great day. And I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out.